Okay, first I want to thank you, the organizer, inviting me to give this talk. And before I go for it, I think I would like to do a very quick survey. How many students are here? Graduate, undergraduate? Okay, good. How many postdocs are here? Good. How many faculties are here? Wow, okay, good. Hopefully, by the end of this seminar, and I will have something for each of you, because there is certainly a lot of opportunity for undergrad, for graduate student, for postdoc, as well as for faculty to do collaborative research within the industry. And hopefully, this will give you some, first guideline of how to look for those information and where to seek out those information. Well, I'm going to just cut these things out. So here's some of my functional responsibility as an investigator in the industry. So it all depends upon our expertise and our requirements. So each functional group have different requirements. So this is just a simple list of what I do. Mainly I do a lot of whole animal research, translational research, PK/PD assay, developing biomarker for disease, and then work with other functional team to try to move compound forward into the clinical trial. As well as sometimes we do also look for new technologies and disease target and try to develop external collaboration. So that's why you will see a lot of time in different conferences, industry people are there to try to find a suitable collaborative partner to help us accelerating our program. I'm sure many of you know the drug discovery process. How many do not know? Haven't heard of it, okay. Some of it, okay. So it does take a long time for a new chemical entity to go from a preclinical stage all the way to human. Normally it takes about, in average, the quickest time is about 10 years, and then some of it would take much longer. And the cost of developing a drug is very expensive. At least the last estimate was cost about $1.5 billion to move a compound forward into the clinics or start to be able to prescribe to the patient. And when you look at the process itself, in terms in the drug discovery, do we have a pointer? Okay, great, here, yes. Okay. If you look at the,
I think it might have been dying.
okay, here, okay. If you look at the process itself, from drug discovery to the preclinical stages, it takes almost 3 to 6 years. And then when you go into the clinical trial, it depends on phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3. It could also take 6 to 7 years. And then once we get a positive result on the phase 3, then we could go for the NDA submission. I think this is dying. NDA submission, and then after the FDA review our application, approve it, and then it still takes time for us to scale up for manufacturing, marketing, and all that. That takes half a year to 2 years. And then afterward, then we will have post-marketing surveillance. Those are usually, we have a term for pharmacovigilance. That means is once the drug is in the market, the healthcare provider will give us feedback of what they see in the actual practice. If a patient have any adverse effect, they have to, by FDA regulation, they have to report it. And we will periodically get the report from those healthcare provider and summarizing it, and then to see if there is a certain adverse effect that is showing up, and then we have to figure out, is this really a on-target or off-target effect, or is it something that we need to pay attention to, either modify our packaging so that to advise the clinician how to treat the patient, how to use the drug, or actually put on to our label, certain populations should not be using those drugs. So those are the pharmacovigilance that we have. So if you look at all these steps, every single process, there is an opportunity for academia to come and join us, because we cannot do all the study ourselves. We need the expertise and the technology in the academic field to help us to expedite our process. For example, in pre-discovery, how do we come up with the new idea in terms in the disease state? Although we do some basic research in the drug industry, but majority of it we rely on the academia to come up with a new idea, come up with a new process, and we survey the literature, and then we will formulate our hypothesis that way. So really, if we are interested in something that is new, then we will contact those people that has been published in a high impact journal or published in a very exciting data, then we will contact those people to say, hey, can we collaborate? And then during the drug discovery and preclinical stages, definitely there will be another area of collaboration, because if you're working in an area that we're interested, then sometimes we'll be seeking you out, or sometimes you could actually seek us out and say, would you like to collaborate? There's always process for that. And then also for clinician, we want to collaborate with clinicians. How many clinicians are here? Healthcare provider? Okay, a few. That's good. So definitely, one of the shortfall, one of the gap is that we do not have sufficient enough clinician to do a lot of clinical study for us, or some of. So there is a kind of like a shortage of those expertise in that. And if we could find people that have expertise and they have already done some of those clinical trials, and those are the people that we would like to collaborate with. And then certainly in the pharmacovigilance and post-marketing, that would be something that we could also collaborate with if we certainly find out something is happening in the field, and then we would like to find out precisely what is the mechanism of action causing that. Then we sometimes could collaborate with the academia or external partner to figure it out. So definitely, as I say, is during the drug discovery process, and we cannot do everything all by ourselves. So the industry already start to know that shortfall, and what they did is they start to develop consortium or collaboration or partnership with the academia to expedite their process. And since 2010, there has been so many collaboration developed with institute. And that way, they could actually tap into their expertise, tap into their talent to help them to expedite their process. And if you look at each of these examples, you could see they're very specific in terms of some of the area that they're interested in. For example, Gilead is interested in the cancer, so they developed a collaboration for 4 years with Yale. And if you look at the Merck more recently, they're interested in the animal model, proof of concept, for certain disease that they're interested. So they actually, collaborated with other partners, with the CRO, and to develop those kind of things. So really, that is a tremendous opportunity in terms of either your institute or yourself to collaborate with us. So another quick survey. How many of you actually have done collaboration with industry? Great. So some of you already know the process by which, and how many of you know the greatest hurdles between the industry-academic collaboration? Greatest hurdles, yes?
The university material transfer agreements?
Absolutely. That is one of the things that kind of brought down everything, and that is also one of the things the lawyer between the two institutes, they could talk forever. And at the end of it, some of the collaboration actually break down because the lawyer is taking too much time. And so right now, in the industry, there is an effort to try to resolve those kind of hurdle. What we call is a pre-competitive collaboration. What it means is pre-competitive means that both partners will have equal rights to publish wherever they are producing. So this way will expedite the paper publication and all that, because we understand that in the academia, you don't publish, you don't get your grant. You don't get a grant, you don't get your tenure. You don't get your tenure, you're looking for a new job. So really, it's like that cycle is very important. And so nowadays, the industry is trying to help the academia to say, okay, what could we do to expedite that? Because sometimes certainly proprietary information, we need to keep it to the company. But a lot of times, before we get into those proprietary information, we will like to have the academia to help us out, to do those kind of work. So what are the potential collaboration or funding sources that you could have? This is not to say the whole list. This is just a example of it, and you could have a different method in terms of getting into it. In terms of collaboration, we definitely have fee for services. This means it's like we are interested in certain services, and we will go out seek collaborator and pay for those services. For example, I actually, when I work in Abbott here in Chicago, we were interested in do a animal study. And so we actively, proactively go out and seek out a animal lab in Michigan State, and that they have done the study that we would like to do, and actually contacted them and say, would you like to conduct those study for us? And so our institute, our company, and their lawyer talk, and then get the contract signed, and then we will say, okay, then we have the study proposal. This, most of the time, is already, we know exactly what we want, so we have the study design already ready. The institute or collaborator, most of the time, is provide us with the service. So that's why we call the fee for services. The other one is, like the other gentleman said, is the material technology transfer agreement. What it means is sometimes you may want to get some of the compound that we have in-house to test your hypothesis. So you will submit a proposal or application to ask, can you get those compound? And we will evaluate it to whether or not that request meet our portfolio, meet our strategic goal. And if it is, then we could give it to you, free of charge. But if those compounds are proprietary, then we may have a clause into it and say, you cannot publish it until blah, 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 blah. But if it is not, then most of the time, like if it's set up as a pre-competitive stage, then you could actually, once you get your data, you could publish it, as long as you inform us what are you going to publish, because at least we want to take a look at it so that it is not going to be contradicting of what we are looking at or the data is accurate. And this goes both ways, because sometimes we will actually go and seek out a certain new technology from the academia in the field, and if we would like to bring it into our institution or into our company to further develop it in-house, then we will go through those agreement transfer. And then definitely in many companies, they have fellowship and grants for students, postdoc, and even faculty. So I'm going to give you some example later on. Where are the sources that you could find out those information? As I was searching in the lab preparing this, and I said, okay, I know my company has it, but where else you could find it, right? So many people do not know, it's like, because there's no a single website to tell you, oh, here's all the grant application, all the fellowship for the industry. You really have to go you go into the individual company website. I'm going to give you some example in my foreign sizes to each of the company that I have worked for, and to say where you could get those information. This is all public domain. So I'm not disclosing anything that is proprietary, and so you could actually feel free to go into any company to look for those information. One of the biggest, the most comprehensive funding source is what we call the Pharma Association. They actually is a foundation. They have a lot of different grant fellowship that is specifically designed for young scientists as well as seasoned scientists. So you could definitely look at it, and I'm going to present some of the information from there. Social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, definitely sometimes we will put those information there and ask for proposal, and then you could submit your idea. Scientific conference, certainly, that is sometimes, the company will actually have their presentation, and the reason for that is not only to present our work, but also to excite the crowd, excite the scientific field, to see if anyone would like to collaborate with us. And then most of the time, people will come up and talk to us and say, oh, we're also working in this area, is there any opportunity to collaborate? Then we could kind of guide you and give you the right connection, so that hopefully you will be able to connect to our right department to do the research collaboration. And definitely networking is another ways to find out whether or not a particular company has any grant or proposal for your need. So here's the first example. And so don't worry about writing it down, and in the package, you should already have the link in here. And actually, when I go in, they already put up the 2018 award. So please, for student, postdoc, or anyone that is looking for application, for 2018, here's the information that you need to know. There is definitely a different type of award available. For example, they have the pre-doctoral award. They have the research starter grant. That means this is for the scientists that are starting their individual track career. And then you have the postdoctoral award. And we also have what we call a sabbatical fellowship. That means for seasoned scientists, if you are ready to take your sabbatical for 6 months, and if you want to do a research in industry, we're in the pharma, definitely they welcome you to do that. And you could write a proposal and to say, we would, you would like to do that. And the opportunity for this one is very huge, because they will let you use the expertise, and we will also want to use your expertise to further develop our in-house talent. And there's also other awards. But each of these awards, you have to also be aware what they are funding, okay? Under each of these have a list of the interests that they want to fund. For example, health outcome, informatics, pharmaceutics, pharmacology, and toxicology. And then when you go into each of those, and you will find a specific detailed information about what kind of program they're interested in. So, not just one size fits all, you have to do a little bit homework to make sure that your area of interest matches of what they are looking for. So here's the first example. It's like if you're looking for a pre-doctoral fellowship, the aim for it is to give a 2-year stipend for a full-time graduate student who already passed their qualified exam. That means you finish your qualified exam, you are the PhD candidate, and you're working in the lab, and then you could write a proposal to ask for funding. The eligibility is those students that is already doing their thesis research, okay? And by the time the award is being activated. Funding is about $25,000 to $50,000 per year, up to 2 years. And the applicant cannot hold a simultaneously other fellowship or stipends, or cannot be interrupted in this. That means you cannot apply for this and then apply for American Heart Grant for your program, or have another grant that is, or another training grant that is supporting the same thing. So make sure that you understand those and then apply accordingly. For postdoc, it's very much similar. So the foundation will provide stipend support for PhD graduate who is going to develop and refine their research skill in a multidisciplinary research training program. The key for this one is here. Okay, the qualification for the applicant is that you cannot do your research in your mentor's lab, because the goal of this is to try to develop a postdoc into independent scientists. So the goal of here is to let them to learn something new other than in their mentor's lab. And so hopefully they will be able to expand their knowledge and skill set and be able to develop as an independent scientist. So the funding amount could be ranging from $80,000 to $120,000 up to 2 years for postdoc. So it's a relatively pretty good program. Then for those already is assistant professor or in the early stages of academia, definitely we have what we call the Research Starter Grant. This is to support individuals beginning their independent research career at their faculty level. The funding amount is it's not a whole lot, but it's pretty much that you could help you to fund your research, as well as you could use this to pay your technician wages. And you also have a small portion for it for travel expenses to professional meetings. So this is really a little bit addition to your existing funding. So it helps to expand those early career scientists to further develop their academia program. Then we also have specific fellowship or program or grant for clinician, because not only for PhD, we're also looking for clinical scientists that could help us to do clinical research or help to develop them so that they could in future support us or be the leader in the field. So this funding is primarily focusing on the physician scientist who is pursuing a career in the clinical pharmacology using a variety of technique in human research. Okay. The eligibility is at least 2 years in the residency program or 2 years in the clinical research experience. And they must be committed to a US university and must be US citizen or permanent residents. Funding is about $120K per year, and with salary and fringe benefit included. And the nice thing is maximum 8% can be used for indirect costs. So many of the other ones, they may not give you the indirect cost. So the institute, your institute may not be too happy about it, even you get it. But at least this one, if you get it, you have an 8% indirect cost to pay for your institute. So that is pretty good. So for those well-established scientists that would like to take a break from the academia and join the dark side, like my student always say, you turn into the dark side. I say, oh, yes. Yeah. And because I used to be an assistant professor, 10-year track. So after 13 years, I say, okay, I'm going to switch and jump into the from academia to industry. My students say, oh, Dr. Shek, you turn to the dark side. I say, yeah, they pay really well. Yeah. Sorry to say that. But anyway, for well-established scientists, there's also opportunity for fellowship program within the industry. So this program is particularly tailored to enable faculty to work outside of the institute for a 6-month to 1-year time to learn new skill or develop a collaboration so that could enhance their research and training. This gives them an opportunity to actually work in the industry and to utilize our existing technology or whatever that will enhance your own research. The funding is, is 40K, so it's not bad actually. If I were if I were qualified for sabbatical, I take it, right? You got your, school institute funding, and then you got additional funding and do the research. So that one are for the Pharma Foundation, and this is the one that is another funding sources for individual company. So I'm going to show you maybe 2 or 3 examples for individual company, how you could go in and find out the information. Most of those are from my previous employer. So Abbott, and then they turned into AbbVie in, I think it's 2013. They split into Abbott and AbbVie, so I transitioned from Abbott into the AbbVie. So if you go into the company website, you will go and look for the partnership and then look for the additional opportunity. Each company has their different terminology. I know it's very confusing. If people have been searching for it and you say, how am I going to navigate? But most of the time is if you type in a search word external collaboration, usually you will pop up and find the link will guide you through their website. So in AbbVie, we have 2 programs, where one is called the Open Innovation Program, and this program is primarily provide opportunity for external collaborator to access our 2 compounds to conduct preclinical research. So this is almost like it's involved those material transfer agreement, okay? And for example, we have academic collaborator that is interested in looking at certain receptor antagonists, certain receptor in the disease state, and we have the antagonists, selective antagonists, and so they will approach us and say, can we get some of this? And this is it's almost like writing like a NIH proposal. You propose what you want, what kind of study you want, and the rationale for it, and then we will evaluate, does it fit with our company strategic goal? If it is, then the material transfer will be proceed forward. If it is not, then we will definitely tell the investigator and say, this does not fit with our area of research, and so maybe in future you could reapply again. So those are the open innovation. The other one is investigator-initiated study. This is the collaboration between the investigator and the company to promote advancement of medical and scientific knowledge involving the company products in a particular therapeutic area. So when you go into the company website, you will see their portfolio. What kind of area are they working on? Neuroscience, oncology, cardiovascular, diabetes, diabetic complication, AKD, acute kidney disease, or CKD, or chronic heart failure patient, and all those information will be listed in their portfolio. Then the investigator-initiated study will be, the investigator will be interested in doing particular study within those portfolio, those area, and then they will submit it to the company. Usually, this kind of research is also involving what we call a clinical manager or liaison, medical scientific liaison. So those are the ones that will actually go out and contact specific academia laboratory to say, would you be interested in collaborating with us, and ask for those proposals. So here is the link that you could actually go in and take a look regarding the more specific information and how you could apply for those program in the AppV. And then, like I say, you have to understand what kind of program are they asking for, what kind of application are they asking for. In AppV, we have immunology, neuroscience, oncology, pancreatic disease, renal disease, women's health. So if your area of research fit with this kind of information area, then it will be good for you to come and seek us out and seek out the company, contact people, and then try to do a collaboration. Another example will be like if you go into the Pfizer webpage and you look for the research, and under the partnering, then you will see it's like what kind of partnering investigator-initiated research, right? Postdoctoral program and partnering information. So each of those areas, then you could specifically look at it and to find out what kind of specific research topic they are interested. And if it match with yours, then you are definitely feel free to contact their external collaborator contact. You know, they will have those information in their website. So I'm not going to list it in here. You know, and then for us in our Lilly company, we have what we call the Lilly Innovation Fellowship Award, LIFTA. And this is something that we want to foster postdoc scientists to pursue a groundbreaking research project. And so this is mainly looking to help to further train the postdoc scientists, to help them to develop their expertise and skill so that in the future they could either become an independent scientist, or they could also become an expert that could help us out in terms of doing study that could enable us to understand the disease condition. The benefit is that you will have a full postdoc salary for up to 4 years, but with a limited travel support. And the payment is go to your school directly, and then sometimes they have relocation. So you could read through those, and that is in your handout, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time to go through it. And so here's another information to tell you what kind of therapeutic area that we are interested in: diabetes, oncology, neurodegenerative disease, chronic pain, autoimmune disease. So, or any platform science, formulation, biopharmaceutical translation science, in vitro, in vivo assay, modeling, drug safety, PK/PD, and all those things. So you could actually go into our website and take a look at it, and if it is suitable, find out the contact information or contact the person. There's an email in here. Then you could submit those requests. Hopefully, that's the last one. This is the Lilly Research Award Program. This is mainly for well-established scientists that is in the field, and this is a kind of a way for us to provide a two-way, what we call a pre-competitive collaboration. This is to foster the exchange of the knowledge and information and develop collaboration so that both sides could also take advantage of it. And academia collaborator could publish the result very fast, and that's without a lot of limitation from the industry side. And so hopefully this could expedite the information and the knowledge and expand our portfolio. So hopefully that's all I have, and thank you very much. And if you have any other question, feel free to drop me a line, and hopefully I could provide you some additional information.